Now we'll start to chisel out the slot. Early on, we mentioned that we will be doing 16 mm width, which is 1 mm wider than our chisel. If you want to do 15, you can do it as well. Just be more careful, but because it'll be exactly the width of this thing. So if you lay the edge perpendicular to the either of the lines on the sides here, it will be exactly 15. If you were to roll your chisel either to the a bit like this or like that, then that would just mean that when you mallet down, the width that you're chopping is actually a bit less than 15, so it's fine. Let's try to keep it very perpendicular. So you can start somewhere in the middle. Let's chop straight down first. This board is about 10, so when we are chopping for this, we want to make sure that the hole is clean as possible with minimal tearouts. So try not to bulk too aggressively. This time around, we'll play a lot around with the angle of with the position of chisel. So line up, step. So we'll go half-half. Try up. So when you're in the middle, you can use either side of the chisel. Normally we'll just go this way, pry a little as we go down. Make sure you don't pry against the walls. So as you're going down here, remember to flip around with the last bit. And once you are done with the last hit around the line, pry outwards. So you can go this way. Once you're close, start to go in this manner. Then you'll be fine. Same thing. So make sure when you're balloting, don't go all the way through. Some parts will start to drop out when it's thinner, but so long you stop somewhere in the middle, you'll be fine. So your fingers here will be used to resist like how deep you'll go. But for stuff in the middle, it's fine to go all the way through. Just make sure that when you're on the walls, don't just aggressively. So the last bits at the corner will hit last. Now we'll just chop and clean up the sides here. Just like how we did for the dovetails earlier. So there's a lot of excess, we just chop it down. Once we're close to the line, we just sit on the line. So same go to the halfway mark. Corners wise, right, it may be a bit easier to use the smaller chisel to clean, because if you tilt it the wrong way when you mallet down, you may dent the side walls. Let's try this first. But if you're not doing a 15 wide channel, it should be fine, because 16 you have at least 1 mm of leeway. Right now I'm doing 15, so tolerances are very tight. This is when we bulked out the chunk in the middle. Then just need to clean up till it's straightish, will be fine. The rest of the inside will be sanded. If you want, you can use a chisel to clean up as much as you can, so you need to sand less later on. This is another way that you can set up to clean the insides of your slot. Just use 2 holdfasts. Lay at the same level. Get a plank or get a scrap that's tall enough to prop the slot here above the top of the bench. So from here, just use one of the hand to pin the board against the sides. Then your other hand, you just hold the chisel as such to pair very cleanly. Just make sure you don't overshoot to the other side, then you'll be fine. Slot is pretty clean now. We shall start to work on the rabbet with the chisel method. Do take note of how you orientate the board. Right now I set up via hold fast like this. Make sure it's secure. Before we start, we may want to tap out the boundary lines. So in this orientation, it's easier to tap along here first, and later we'll place it on the top to tap perimeter of this thing. Use the largest chisel that you have because it's quite a wide surface. Like tap. Remember the way that you draw the pencil line. We will be cutting on the outside of this line. So this will be the inside, this will be the outside. So make sure you rest on the outer edge of the pencil line. Chiseling. Let's see. Try not to go too aggressive. This side is along the long grain. When you're slicing here, you're slicing along the grain. So if the grain of the wood goes crazy around certain parts, it may split deeper in than what you expected. So do be cautious. Try to read the wood. Right now I'm using the 15mm chisel. So the earlier line that we tapped will at least be a split line for it. Should we split up to the line? This part of the wood grain kind of like goes this way. We'll see how it reacts when it happens. Okay, so we got a bit of splits around here. Now let's take out this stuff a little. Place it flat. Just like that, pry off the waves. So as it splits, right, you'll notice as you melt it down, it splits slightly further below or ahead of the direction that you're going. So do take note of that, but make sure that it doesn't split into the areas that you want. So if you start to see it going towards a direction, you may want to terminate the cut by going against the split. So if you don't have anything that can let you prop this up, you can try putting a backstop here, then balloting this way in. So let's try that. But do make sure that the line is always visible. Last thing you want is to cut beyond the line. You also want to make sure that when you're doing this, you are not having backlight. So in my setup, there's a shadow cast around here, I can't see a line properly. In your case, you should try to make sure that this side is illuminated. So if you want to lay your body weight, when you use your body weight to push against your workpiece, make sure it's anchored securely. Make sure the backstop is very, very secure. Else you'll slip forward and hurt yourself. When it comes to melting in this direction, it's not a really good thing to do, because you are trying to mallet in between the grain direction, so it has a higher tendency to split wood, especially when they are thinner. So we want to just pair across the grain. Just wiggle, don't push too hard, and it should kind of snap around the line that we tapped earlier on. Gradually bring it closer and closer to the line. So this part here is pretty close. Here still has quite a bit to go. Okay, so now top is around the line. Check here. This part here, which we tapped earlier on, this edge is pretty crisp. So if you want to work with your workpiece vertical and say not from the side of the bench, you can do it in this kind of setup. Just get two pieces of scrap, pin them down in such a way where part of each scrap is butted against the stock of the whole vase itself. This is butted against here. This way it will be more secure. And just slip your stuff like so you'll be more stable, and it's quite easy to switch around, etc. Try and pare down vertically as best as you can, bit by bit. Register against the edge, downwards, lock down this portion of it. Back to here, clear off much of the excess. Now we go on the line from this edge. Start off carefully from the edge. Same thing applies about 0.5 before the waist, 0.5 of waist left before you go on the line. So after you bulked it out, it'll be like this. So long there's no uncontrolled tail, it should still be very, very clean. Now we just need to clean the corners here. Just use the corner of the tool, just slightly scrape along the corner, like so. And they'll be clean enough for now. So the other side is pretty much similar. This side here, you'll find that the grain orientation will cause it to cut a bit differently along these two edges. That I'll show you as well. Start with this edge of the board. Same thing, we just slightly tap out the line on the outside of the pencil line. For the edge here, we'll tap it as well, similar to the earlier stage when we were doing here, in this manner. So we try to sandwich this thing on the bench top. Like so, make sure it's secure. Now we tap out the line. thin peels and we pry out in this direction. Try to keep the chisel upright. This part here will peel quite a bit easier than before because of the grain direction. You want to make sure that you don't slide down too hard. Now cutting on the line. This time around is quite a bit taller than the previous configuration, so it's a bit unstable. Try not to push too hard. Go for thinner peels, then it'll be easier to push through. Try to push down as straight as you can. Same thing applies. Try to go only on the line when you are left with like 0.5 waist. Now we'll chop off all of this excess. So back to here again. So the rest of the stuff, if it's very very close to the edge here, once you go down all the way, twist and you just pop off. You're not aiming to undercut any of the surface, just go as straight as you can. Register the back of the chisel against this earlier face at the start. Just slide down straight. Just follow through the whole stretch. Now we'll clean from the other direction. And as for just now, just use the corner, scrape across surface to clean up the inside edge. Same here. As for here, get a chisel as horizontal as possible. Everything together. So there's two sides. Now remember to add this small little notch after you tap the line, at least for the end grain side, to make sure that it doesn't split beyond here when you pair down in this direction. So that same low angle pair that you did with your dovetails. Reason I'm not using the larger chisel is because I dropped it, so the edges were a bit curled. I'll need to resharpen it before I can use it again. It's normally the wider the chisel for this kind of application, more efficient it will be. So now we can start to cut inwards. Change of orientation because this will be more secure, not sliding around. So another way that we can clear off this chunk is by sawing. But do note that if you're sawing, you have to be extra careful. You may want to saw at least 1 mm plus away from the line. So this groove here was from my earlier attempt to saw, but I stopped because I couldn't find a secure way to hold the workpiece on the holdfast for that. That's why I resorted back to chiseling. Here we're done with creating this step. We want to check for a few things. One is this surface here should be at least flat. So when you lay, say, your long ruler across it, there shouldn't be any big bumps like preventing it from resting flat. So ideally you'll be resting edge to edge as well, flush. So you can use this all the way on the inside and slide outwards to check. Then those offending bumps, they are larger than what you think you can sand off quite easily. Just shade it with your pencil, then do a light pair over those stretches. So same for this. So you can check. And of course the corners on the inside should be crisp as well, else they'll get in the way of the fit. Something like that would be pretty okay for something that's hand cut. Of course, there are more than just this method to cut the step. Apart from checking for flatness here, as flat as we can get it to, if there are slight bits of recess here and there, it's okay. We can't put back material. So the other thing to check out for is this small little step here. Try and get it flat. So long as it's not rocking due to a huge bump, etc., then you're fine. So things like this, when it's rocking, look for the offending spot in the middle. So of course we are going to sand this area later. Sanding of course will remove some material, things that will affect how it fits on the top of the box will be this inside protrusion. So if we over sand it, then of course there'll be a lot of play. This one is still okay. There are of course specialized tools to cut this kind of steps. Things like the rabbet plane and of course powered routers. Here we are trying to show you how you can do even this with minimal tools. Once we're done cleaning the step, you can do a test fit. Before you do a test fit, make sure that all the dovetails are fully in. This can still go in and tie a bit more. Okay, the rest should be all fully in. Make sure you find the spot where it's facing up. That'll be here. Because we drew it with reference to the top inner edge. Then of course find out where you did the alignment for the orientation of the top lid. That's how we did a mark here and here. So let's find it. This will be here. This is slightly here. Then just lay your piece in. You should only be able to go in a top-down manner. You will not really be able to pry it in and slam it down with it slightly angled like this. So you want to go down, top-down. That will mean that you cut it really precisely, and there's no room for you to sit at an angle and go in. So after you mount it, check for any major offending gaps. That can be because of remnants of bumps here and there. things like this still okay, I'll say. Then you will need to fill the edge between your top piece and your box. It should feel very flush if you've done it very accurately. It will fit quite tightly if you've done it well. To take it out, just use the butt of your hammer. Okay. Now we'll start to disassemble the 4 walls in order to add a dado cut around here for our last component, which is the baseboard. This assembly. So if your dovetails are done properly, it's going to be a very snug fit, very secure. It doesn't come out on its own. Find that you can't pull it out of the part by hand easily, and that's of course great. So the downside of that is you will need to tap the thing out using something else instead of hands. So using the mallet provided or hammer, use the side face of the hammer. And you need a thin piece of scrap. Doesn't have to be so large, it can be a smaller piece, so long it gives you a hitting surface. Also dent the wood with your hammer. So like this, just tap. You can start to see it's coming out. Try to make sure they come out evenly. So one side is out, okay, like that. And then of course the usual business with this, one side at a time.